Hey everybody, Brian Von VA here. Got a question for you. What's your D&D house rule that could only work at your table? Let us know in the comments below. We are toying with a Scales of Fate mechanic where there are meta D4 inspirations that go in 2 cups. One is the good cup and belongs only to the players, and one is evil, which belongs to me, the DM. Using a die moves it to another cup, so the more the players use, the more I get to use. I also include moving dice as outcomes to quests, and sometimes I add this session only dice in either cup as outcome consequence. It is fiddly and adds more uncertainty for both sides, of course, which I can see most not wanting. I did this with 3 players. I had a druid ranger, fighter bard, and a barbarian bard. I let the barbarian concentrate and cast spells while raging. They did indeed have many tools to use while they were playing, and they had a lot of fun doing it. Now, I'm not sure about doing this with a player group of 7, maybe one day I'll try it. My players use flanking, gives you a +2 to attack rules. It's not as strong as advantage, but it does prevent them from just conga lining enemies. We also use crunchy crits, where your first set of rolled dice damage is maxed, and you roll your second one. Nothing is worse than getting a crit and rolling 2 1s. My table has limited permanent injuries, or persistent injuries, as some do heal naturally or with basic to advanced medical treatment. Most of the time, the system is only used during major fights against severe enemies, like, say, a black dragon, the local big bad evil guy, etc. Not Joe Schmo, the 243rd bandit man. What about me? In the campaign, we've had losses of hands, eyes, a broken leg that was bad enough the player chose to amputate and get a prosthetic, among a variety of burns and scars. It made the game more grounded in the kind of gritty lower fantasy story I was going for. I confirmed with the party repeatedly that they actually did like it, and overwhelmingly, we all did. The struggles they could cause were part of the fun for us. I don't do character deaths. I use an injury system. The only way a character exits the scene is if the player decides to. I have a crit roll that my players seem to be pretty fond of. Landing a critical hit in combat grants your character a better innate grasp of the weave, placing you in a sort of flow state for the next 6 seconds. When under the effects of this flow state, you gain +1 to all attacks and damage rolls. Additionally, the minimum number you must roll on a d20 to land a critical is decreased by 1. This bonus is extended and improved with consecutive critical hits, applying the benefits multiple times with multiple consecutive critical hits. 4 consecutive critical hits on one creature instantly kills it, with the exception of massively powerful creatures, CR 25 or higher. If you go to 0 HP, you gain a level of exhaustion. It's helped put more desire into not getting to that point. The PCs actually get tired and want to rest, and it's actually improved RP, as they have an extra improv prompt. Player here, but one of the tables I'm at, the DM was annoyed with concentration as a player and just threw it out. I'm playing a necromancer in their Ravenloft game, and just cannot bring myself to use it. Feels too much like cheating. The other caster isn't holding back, however, and it can get wild. For context, these are friends that I've played D&D with off and on since we were in high school, when 2nd edition was brand new. We're all having fun, but that's a bridge too far for me. I run a game at work and have a few unfair rules because I get 60 minutes of game time a week. Most rules I have are to keep things moving. The one I think would be difficult is my dice damage rule. If you roll your damage die and more than half come up, you can choose to re-roll the ones. No penalty or anything. We only usually get 2, maybe 3 good rounds of combat per session. I usually have to have encounters ready for the start of the session too. This is wholly good for our game, but I can't see a lot of practical use elsewhere. I use a rule where saves for debuffs are rolled at the end of the turn of the affected creature. This means every debuff works at least 1 round. I find it very anticlimactic when you cast Hold Person or Bane, and then, if the targets are lucky, nothing happens at all. Epic moments, because I'm sure lots of people would classify the system as too OP. The TLDR version is that you can voluntarily take on exhaustion points 5th edition to do some sort of action or ability that you can't normally do otherwise. The qualifier is that it needs to be clutch in some way. There need to be stakes, and it's up to the DM whether it's a good enough reason to do so. I actually got a criticism recently that I allowed too many epic moments to happen, and checking back on them, I kind of agree. Some of my players will clock that a combat is close to done and ask if they can epic moment an extra action. The problem is, if there's still lots of ally turns between them and the bad guy, that's not epic, that's just a mechanic. But if the bad guy's turn is next and you know they've got abilities that will kill you or the party, and they're hanging on by a thread, that's a better reason. The stakes are much higher there. Probably my whole campaign. I tend to go way overboard with things. For example, my crafting systems. Food. Select your ingredients, use your recipe, roll. Good results make more food from fewer items, and they have effects such as reducing exhaustion or giving advantage on your next, whatever check until you sleep. I also use strict encumbrance rules so that this actually means something. Bags of holding are considered very rare or legendary, and your food will spoil if it's not used. Arrows. I have a whole spreadsheet where you pick shaft, core, head, knock, and fletching, which changes things like the weight of the arrows, the range, bonus to hit, and or damage, etc. They also have resilience score, so when someone rolls too well or too poorly, they break. Again, encumbrance. Potion making. I have recipes for potions, including dried or preserved ingredients and how to reconstitute them. Giant tears are only good for so long, but you can freeze them or dry them, then rehydrate, etc. Health potions are made with red gems that you can collect and trade. Blue, mana, potions get you spell points back. Purple get you both. Yellow gets you exhaustion, and there are also light and dark pink potions for long, slow healing. Also antitoxin, poison, acid, etc. It's very loosely based on Oblivion and Skyrim potions. Potions have shelf lives too, so only make what you're going to use or they'll go bad. Working on weapons and armor crafting. Now I could show you, but I think I'm the only one that loves it. Now I personally try to hide all the mechanics from the players so that they can have the fun while I get to play with Excel. I'm also doing a Strixhaven derivative. All powered by spreadsheets. Not sponsored. Players pick their classes and build their schedules. Then we roll for random encounters. If they have an encounter, I have them roll a second die for time of day. Based on that and their classes, I know who is where at the school. Oh, I see you're in potions class. Here's what happens. I have about a half dozen encounter ideas for each of the classes so that I can just grab one and roll with it. My goal is for my players to remember what it feels like to pick your classes for school in real life. It's kind of a throwback, a reminisce type of thing. Share your stories and build on your table friendships. I give bonuses based on how they do in their classes, homework, and quizzes. I have it all in spreadsheet form, so I've reduced player investment to only as much as they want. Strictly tracking time has been a really interesting experience. Having never done it, I find it somewhat fascinating how much game happens in such a short time frame. Overall, I'm trying for a more crunchy life simulator or worm's eye view, but hiding the majority of the mechanics from the players. It fascinates me, not them. Happy to share if they ask, but they don't ask. Initiative DC. Everyone rolls initiative. I decide a number. If anyone rolls higher, the party goes first. I have a beginner party, and it's a pain having to order each PC and all enemies, and it makes getting into combat kind of a hassle. It also gives them tactical options, like having your casters guaranteed to get the first shot out of the party to do what they need. And then have your martial classes block the way out, and generally lets everyone work as a cohesive unit. But just rolling initiative normally seems to work for most tables. Spellbook users can change their spells on short rests. I just find it way too limiting for them to decide spells at the start of the day. And then, if you throw a curveball, your spellcasters can end up feeling useless because they prepped for a specific scenario in mind. and only have so many slots available for generic utility. Now sure, they can still get caught off guard with a scenario they didn't plan for, but it doesn't mean multiple sessions of them spamming one spell because they're stuck with what they chose at the start and didn't have the option to change up their plans. Considering other things, such as attunement can be swapped around on short rests of an hour, I don't see why spell swapping can't be as well. My last 2 campaigns that I played in, the wizard class had to find all his spells. There was no 2 free spells a level and all that. I had to find enemy spellbooks or scrolls and copy the spells at great cost to myself to be able to gain new spells. It was a throwback to DND. Now I didn't mind it because it made my power-hungry wizard really keen to do power-hungry stuff to add new spells and the like. Well, I don't know about hard to convince, but Outland Silver Raiders has a way better HP gain system. Roll hit dice equal to your levels in a class, split the die size up for multi-class, add the pips and your con bonus per level. If that number is higher than your total, that new number becomes your HP total. If not, add 1 plus con to your old number. That way, a barbarian rolling a 1 3 times isn't permanently fucked. You have a chance to make up for it at later levels. Now mind you, you can still get shitty rolls, they just won't stick with you for 2+ years. This will forever be the way I do HP from now on. It's a good one too. So I haven't played in a long time, but if I were playing right now, I would try to adopt degrees of success and failure. There's a crime RPG named Dogtown. It's a 70s style crime RPG. The creator has it free on a certain RPG site. It's not the best written RPG, but I do like this mechanic. Basically, depending on how far away you are from the success target number, or how far over you are, you gain certain degrees of success or failure. Like, say you are trying to do something and you almost succeed. Then, you might end up succeeding with a negative effect occurring as well. Say you are trying to break down a door and the target number is, say, 10 and you get a 9. You might end up breaking the door down, but while doing so, you injure your shoulder. Or let's say you get a 13, which is 3 over. You might break the door down and, if anyone is on the other side, you knock them completely down. It's been a while since I skimmed the PDF, so I know I'm not exactly explaining it right, but IRL, how many times have you been trying to do something and you succeed and fuck up at the same time? Like, you're trying to fix the radiator on your car, and while replacing it, just as you're screwing in the last bolt, you over-torque the bolt and strip the head clean off. The radiator is replaced and functional, but it's a little wobbly because the bolt is stuck and needs to be drilled out to be 100% perfect. You throw a zip tie on to stop the wobble, you can drive the car just fine, but if you ever want to remove the radiator again, you need to use a drill-out kit to get the bolt. And the zip tie won't be a forever fix, so you sort of succeeded, but you also fucked up at the same time. My players don't know this yet, but death saves are a roll-off versus a pale-looking man in a robe. Oh, I'm looking forward to describing the setup this weekend, as we had our first character hit the deck last session, and they are the first one up next session. Could roll an 18 and still fail, or roll a 3 and pass. Have to roll the dice. If anyone is interested, you have a 55% chance of passing a death save on 10 to 20. Now, on a roll-off where meets it beats it, it's 52.8%, so it's still pretty fair. Extra attacks. They stack whenever you get them from multi-classing. Some classes, non-full casters, get more of them than the base of 5th edition. This is paired with more options you can replace an attack with: feint, trip, flank, taunt, etc. The goal being to get your martial players to feel like they have more opportunity to use their attacks as resources. More feats, ASIs. Everybody starts with being able to pick a starting feat. Requires you to work it into your backstory though. Think the fateful moments from Heroic Chronicle, but more control and varied. Then, you get an ASI or feat at character levels 4, 8, 12, 16, and 19. You then get a bonus feat at class levels based on your class. In the cases of rogues and fighters, they get a small boost in there too. Rogues get an extra ASI feat at 10th, and fighters get extra ASI's feat choices at 6th and 14th. Results in players feeling like they can still both pick a feat and do an ASI. Keeping it divided between character and class levels means that they can get those boosts better if they don't multi-class. Actual armor proficiency. Armor now factors in proficiency. If you are proficient with it, your AC equals 8 plus proficiency plus armor benefits. So, leather armor would be 8 plus prof plus 1 plus dex mod, plate armor would be 8 plus prof plus 8, monk armored would be 8 plus prof bonus plus dex mod plus whiz mod. Doesn't massively interfere with play, but it does allow for martials to really feel like they can get tankier as they progress through the levels without just having to hunt for magical armor and shields and whatnot. Arcane Divine slots divide. Instead of combining Arcane and Divine caster classes in a multi-class, their casting slots remain separate. So if you decide to play a Wiz 3 Cleric 3 character, you're going to have 4 first-level slots that can only be used for wizard spells, 2 second-level spells that can only be used for wizard spells, and the same with spell slots for your cleric spells. If you combine similar types of magic classes though, you keep the current multi-classer rules. You want to go Wiz 3 Source 3? Then you'll end up with arcane slots like you were a 6th level caster. Spell point variant for all spellcasters, but you recover spell points like hit dice. On a long rest, you only recover up to half of your spell points. If you have 12 spell points but spent 8 after your long rest, you only have 10 for that day. We're playing high level, and I'm also a DM that has multiple encounters in a day. No long resting after one fight at my table, so yes, the wizard can unload a huge number of high-level spells one day, but not the next. My group feels more powerful when they need to, but is still careful to conserve their resources. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and of course in the comments below, tell us what your D&D house rule is that could only work at your table. And if you ever want to leave some support for this channel, you can get early access to videos by signing up for our membership program, and you can help us keep the lights on running for another year. We love you all. Please be safe, happy, and healthy. We'll see you next time. Toodaloo for now.